Welcome back, shooters. This is Thomas from Backscatter, and in this video, we're going to cover one of the coolest features of the hybrid flash in the Mini Flash 2, remote mode. Remote mode allows the use of a camera-mounted hybrid flash, or Mini Flash 2, to wirelessly trigger and change the brightness of a remotely placed hybrid flash, or Mini Flash 2. Traditionally, underwater photographers have their lighting attached to their camera rig. So why would you want off-camera lighting? Off-camera lighting allows you to place your strobe in a position that is impossible when attached to your camera system, such as behind a subject or off in the distance. Using this technique, you can capture unique images that will really stand out in your portfolio. In the past, using off-camera lighting required you to swim over to your flash and manually adjust the power if the scene demanded it. This takes a lot of time and it's fairly complicated, often requiring the assistance of a buddy. This is why the Backscatter remote system is different, and you can wirelessly adjust from your main strobe on your camera with just a turn of a dial and the press of a button. No swimming over required. What makes this even more awesome is that you can use hybrid flashes and Mini Flash 2s together in remote mode, with both flashes being able to wirelessly trigger each other and update power levels. In this video, we're going to go over how to set up remote mode with the hybrid flash and Mini Flash 2, and the applications for remote mode with both wide angle and macro photography. So let's jump in and check out remote mode with the hybrid flash and the Mini Flash 2. In order to use remote mode, you'll need a few specific items. First, you'll need a minimum of 2 hybrid flashes, 2 Mini Flash 2s, or a mix of at least 2 of either of the flashes. The main flash that is attached to your camera rig will need a fiber optic cable in order to fire, while the remote flash will need the included light pipe in order to receive signals from the main flash. The last thing you will need is either a tripod, the Backscatter remote lighting muck stick, or a buddy to hold the off-camera remote flash. To set up your remote flash, you will first need to install the light pipe. The hybrid flash and Mini Flash 2 both include a light pipe in the box. The light pipes are specific for each flash and are not interchangeable between the hybrid flash and Mini Flash 2. To install the light pipe, first stretch the rubber lanyard over the 1-inch ball mount. You can only use the lanyard with the included ball mount, and it will not fit over the YS mount. For the hybrid flash, just press the light pipe into the optical receiver, and if you're using the Mini Flash 2, the light pipe will need to be pressed and then threaded into place. Next, set the dial on the remote flash to remote or REM on the dial. With this mode, the flash is ready to wirelessly receive power levels from the main flash. Now, attach the remote flash to a muck stick, tripod, or hand it off to a buddy or model. Now rotate the light pipe to aim directly at the main flash. If the light pipe is pointed away or angled poorly, the remote flash will not be able to easily pick up signals from the main flash. Now, let's set up the main flash. For the main flash, all we need to do is to set it up to our camera system just as if we're going to use it normally for non-remote shooting. Make sure to attach the strobe to your ARM system and plug in the fiber optic cable. Now set the dial to manual or M. You will need to be in manual mode in order to transmit power level changes to your remote flash. Next, let's go through how to use the main flash to remotely trigger and wirelessly change power of the remote flash. First, make sure the main flash is pointed at the light pipe of the remote flash and that the remote flash is within line of sight. Now using the main flash, select the power level on the red dial you would like to beam over to the remote flash. Next, press and hold the test button on the hybrid flash or the focus light button on the Mini Flash 2 to beam over different power levels wirelessly. When pressed and held, the main flash will send out a series of light signals to the remote flash, and the remote flash will fire immediately in response. Then, about a second later, a confirmation from the remote flash will fire, confirming the power level is set. Now with the power level set, the remote flash will remain at the selected power level until you change it with a new signal. You are now free to compose and frame your shot without the strobe being tethered to your rig, providing you with more time to focus on nailing the shot and less time aiming your flash. If you are mixing hybrid and Mini Flash 2s together, keep in mind that they have a different number of power settings, with the hybrid flash having 12 settings and the Mini Flash 2 with 7. If you are using both interchangeably, you will only be able to use the top 7 power levels between the hybrid flash and the Mini Flash 2. Remote mode is a great way to capture macro images, as it completely untethers your flash from the camera rig, giving you the freedom to move and frame your image as needed. Being able to adjust the remote flash's power output wirelessly also keeps you from disturbing your scene or your subject. The Mini Flash 2 excels in this role for shooting macro, thanks to its small size, easy-to-aim OS1 snoot, and creative lighting accessories such as the color filter set. For shooting macro photography, you'll need a minimum of 2 flashes, with 3 being the ideal configuration for creative shooting. Great accessories for macro shooting include the remote lighting muck stick for mounting your remote flash, the OS1 snoot, and the IR filter for your main flash. The IR filter will eliminate all visible light from the main flash, leaving only light from the remote flash visible. This is critical for any scene in which you do not want any light from your main flash introduced into your image. IR filters are available for both the Mini Flash 2 and the hybrid flash. Please note, when using IR filters, the range of the main flash will be reduced, so it is best to use the IR filter for tighter scenes where you won't be too far away from your remote flash. Remote mode also allows you the freedom to get creative and experiment with your images. You can easily side and backlight your subjects since your flash is no longer constrained to your camera system. This can completely change the feel of your image and can enhance the appearance of camouflage macro subjects. You can also easily backlight your subject with different colors using the bold and pastel color filter sets. And this is best accomplished for using 3 flashes. In this configuration, you'll use the main flash to trigger the remote flash, which in this case is used to backlight the subject using a color filter. Then a third mini flash is used with a snoot to provide a fill light to selectively light your subject. To learn more about creative macro lighting with the Backscatter remote lighting system, check out our pro interview with Backscatter's CEO, Jim Decker. Not only is remote mode perfect for macro photography, it can also be used for wide-angle scenes and subjects. This is best used with the hybrid flash, thanks to its wide, bright, even beam pattern. The hybrid flash can easily be held and aimed by a model who can selectively light features of your subject and background to make it more impactful, such as this wreck. If you don't have a model or a buddy, you can also easily deploy the hybrid flash onto a muck stick or tripod to backlight larger subjects and scenes. Remote mode offers a ton of possibilities for creative lighting projects, so feel free to experiment and see what you can get. For more info on how the pros use remote mode with wide angle, check out our interview with Backscatter's founder, Berkley White. Overall, remote mode on the hybrid flash and Mini Flash 2 gives you endless possibilities for creative lighting techniques. This can all be done from your camera rig wirelessly. No need for a buddy or lighting assistant to adjust power levels for you. It is now easier than ever to get that perfect snooted shot, backlighting and side lighting, and experimenting with a color background. Remote mode is not just limited to macro and can be used to shoot wide-angle scenes with a model or to selectively light features of your image. Remote lighting is easy to take advantage of with the Mini Flash 2 and the Hybrid Flash, thanks to the included light pipe, and with other accessories such as the IR filter, color filters, and the remote lighting muck stick being perfect complements to your remote setup. If you're interested into getting into remote shooting, or if you have any questions in general, we're just a phone call or an email away. Remember, your purchases from Backscatter or any of our authorized dealers help us keep making more of these videos. We have free lifetime tech support with every purchase, we ship internationally every day, and we dive, shoot, and service everything that we sell. This is Thomas from Backscatter signing off, and I'll see you next time.